right. Okay, everyone, it's Mark here, your firefighter, realtor, and out-of-state investor. And today I got a special guest on, David Lindblom, who's known through social media and YouTube as Dividend Dave. So, Dave, why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit?
Well, normally I am Dividend Dave, but today I'm Cody doing Cody things.
I like it.
Arrived. I got that when I was commenting on one of the live streams, and I won this toss, and I just had to throw it in there. So hopefully they're watching. If not, I'll definitely refer this video.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm rightfully Dividend Dave. And you want me to go on and tell you a little bit about myself?
Yeah, tell us a bit about yourself. I know you were in Seattle, I believe, and now you're in North Carolina.
Yeah, so I was born in Northwest Washington State, and this proper place or actual place I lived most of my life was Bellingham, Washington, which is a town of like 80,000 people. It's really kind of a college town, but it's an up and coming town. It's a pretty cool place, very beautiful, very awesome, nice people. But it's an hour and a half north of Seattle, about south of Canada, about like half an hour, hugging the West Coast. So it's got a lot of stuff to do there. So, I was born and raised there, went to school. For school, I focused on accounting. And then I got more so into tax. And I'm currently practicing in tax. So all that really led to me being interested in investment and stuff, because I'd be doing tax returns for high net worth individuals. And I got to see all these investments and things that came in and that they were involved in. I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. So I looked more into that. And then that really got me into what we'll be talking about here regarding real estate, a bit about my journey and that kind of thing. But long story short, just to sum up how I got to North Carolina was that when I really started looking for a house, because real estate's the thing that I'm really interested in over stocks, although I have some stocks, but real estate has always excited me because, I always picture myself as like a homeowner, never like a home investor. And so that flipped as I got more involved in, in understanding more about investing and passive income and just going down that huge rabbit hole, the whole red pill thing, as they would say,
Yep.
And I just, with the money I was making and that kind of thing, I started looking and talking to lenders and seeing what I could be approved for. And this was in 2021. So it was 2021, 2022, I would say kind of on the cusp there. And I got approved for like 200,000 and 300,000. And in the Seattle area market, even up through Bellingham, like you'd be lucky, and I joke, but you could be lucky if you bought like a used Frigidaire box on the side of the street, for that kind of money. So I'm like, where else could I go, right? Where else could I see that I could afford something, but also has the natural beauty and all the amenities that I grew up with that I just can't detach from like that. I started listening to YouTube channels about locations and places to go to. And I really kept coming back to like North Carolina. And so long story short, I found myself looking at homes there. I'm like, holy cow, a 4-bedroom, 2-bath for about 300,000. Wow, I'd be lucky if I got a 1-bed, 1-bath for 500,000 or something like that, where I was then. So I just worked with my wife and we're like, okay, let's make plans to move. And so we
hold on. Let me stop you there real quick.
Yeah.
So Seattle to North Carolina is kind of a far journey. How did you get your wife on board, with this plan or real estate journey of yours?
Oh, well, she comes from Japan. She's Japanese, so I guess she was halfway on board because it rains a lot up in Washington and it's beautiful and there's a lot of nature, but it's only really warm, like 80s and 90s, like 2 months out of the year. And in Japan, well, I was there one summer and it was like 90s on average with like 80 to 90% humidity. It was like walking into a sauna the whole way around, right? So she wanted something more of that climate. And she also loved the nature. She likes hiking and going outdoors and stuff. And so as I began discovering more about North Carolina and the videos, I'd share them with her. And then we look at the houses together and stuff. And so we just made it a team effort. And so it really, at that point where we were both like really gung ho on it, we're like, okay, we just didn't need to say anything. The excitement was there. And I would say that's probably one of the best ways you can get somebody on board. It's just sharing that journey of discovery.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that helps a lot that she's on board with this. So does she, I guess, is she just, she kind of in the whole process of buying properties with you, or she looks at the properties also, or is it more kind of she's just supporting you and she trusts what you're doing?
And that's a good question. I would say that she is more of a support. I would say she's gradually getting more into it. I would tell her about these books that I would look at. I told her about The Richest Man in Babylon, which is one of my favorite books. And she was able to find a Japanese version and read that. And she did that on her own. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, I told her about that and show her some videos of his YouTube channel, stuff like that. And she remembered in Western Washington, Seattle, there's a Japanese bookstore. And so she's like, oh, I think there's copies of that. I saw there once. And so we went down there to Seattle to, go down to Seattle, and we went there and we grabbed that book, and then she started reading it. And so she's on board in that way. She's not like on board enough to be where like she's like showing me deals and stuff, or she's trying to understand the breakdown of the deals. But I think she's more so in seeing, okay, as the benefits unfold, she is more interested in it. And whatever she can do to do like home decorating or what we can do like little projects around the house, because this duplex is a bit of a fixer-upper. And so she's on board that way too, I guess you can say.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure that makes things a lot easier when she's supportive and being on board with this whole process. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what your portfolio looks like right now?
Well, it's kind of small,
No?
but I think the toughest part is actually acquiring the property.
Mhm.
Right now, I have a duplex, and I live in one unit and rent out the other. So I'm house hacking, and that is a major accomplishment for me because it took so long for me to settle on one real estate investing strategy and to actually pull the trigger. But once I did that, it all just snowballed, and now pretty soon you're signing papers. Now pretty soon you're doing this and that and that, and so I have plans to house hack into like a 3 or 4 unit, like a triplex or quad, or even look. I'm kind of on the Gary, Indiana bandwagon a bit. Looking
Mhm.
to get 1 or 2 rentals in a place that I've like a supplementary market that's been that I've been familiar with, and I do have a good team for reference. Millennial Mike and all them. So mainly it's just my duplex right now, but I'm definitely looking, and I'm hungry, definitely looking for more and more, and I'm always making those connections and looking every day to grow it.
Yeah, that first one is definitely the hardest. And if I could go back in time, if I could house hack, I mean, I think that's the most ideal way to start, and it's super beneficial. So I mean, I think that's an amazing first start for you to get into to house hacking. So from your, I guess when you first started this journey to getting that duplex, like how long did that process take, you would say?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Kind of when you got that real estate bug, as far as knowing that real estate was your path, and then to actually closing or moving into that duplex, like how long did that process take?
Ooh, good question. I think it would be like, well, actively looking and putting offers and stuff like that. Probably like 6 to 8 months, because we closed on this duplex in August, late August, and then I really started looking for real estate in my market in like January of last year. So that's like 8 months because we were looking to buy in Charlotte, and at the beginning of 2021 or 2022, excuse me, it was really like it was a seller's market. The interest rates were lowered and everyone's just borrowing and buying, and so that pushed everything up. So we had the money to afford the home, but we kept getting outbid. And we were looking to get a primary residence and then do an Airbnb thing. And I'm glad that it fell through because the duplex was so much better bet because I'm learning so much more. So I would definitely say like 8 months when we start going to, but before that, maybe about another 6 months of just really studying, listening to podcasts, and then interacting with the real estate investing network and community, right? So I'm gonna long answer short now. I would say like a year of learning from nothing to getting it.
So did you move already to North Carolina before you even closed on a prop or had a property, or were you waiting to actually obtain that property first before you relocated?
I bought it and closed before I moved.
Okay.
Yeah, so I closed in like August 19th, 20th, and then moved. Well, I drove across the country
Okay. Okay.
from Washington to North Carolina, and then I officially landed here. I think it was October 4th. But before that, I saw pictures. I just talked to my real estate agent. I did all that kind of thing, and I had a video walkthrough done.
Oh, so you didn't actually see that property in person? Wow,
Nope.
that's amazing, man.
And I walked into it when I first got here. I'm like, holy beep. It's worse than the photos. Okay, there's paint in the sink. There's like a floor that's like a little hill. It comes up like this in the hallway because the boards were put like too tight, and then when the weather did stuff, there's just dirt. There's bugs in the fridge, and we're still doing work. So ladies and gentlemen, listeners to Mark's channel here, my advice is that, yeah, if the pictures look bad, it probably looks a lot worse in person. If the pictures look decent, you're probably gonna need some work. If the pictures look amazing, it's Photoshop.
That is great advice. I mean, I to this day still have not stepped foot in any of my properties in Pittsburgh. So maybe I shouldn't go see them. From what you're saying, maybe I should just take it from what the pictures say. But that's pretty gutsy. I mean, buying a property primary residence that, like you said, you haven't even stepped foot. So would you say if you were to go back from the beginning of your journey, would you do anything a little different?
I might walk through the property, but I know I'm not going to do that with another house I get. Like here, I'm looking here now that I'm here, I can like drive around and check things out. I've checked out like in High Point, which is about 30 minutes south. I saw a couple of duplexes that look really like they're really low price, and the rent had room to move up. And then I went to the neighborhood. It was pretty bad, and my gut was like, no, don't buy a rental here, because you can buy in low income areas or just kind of beat up neighborhoods, but you got to ask, is a tenant going to be safe here? It's like I said, it's not a property business, it's a people business. So I definitely would, right? Like I said, I'm planning on getting a home in Gary or other place like that, of a market I would know where I'm comfortable with. And I wouldn't expect anything I buy in, say, Gary for me to like go see before while I'm here, I mean, I would probably at some point visit the property, but you don't need to see it. You can have a video walkthrough. You can do everything through video nowadays. You can have a video walkthrough. You want to get the trusted people that won't lie to you. They won't say, oh yeah, no, that roof is just a little drafty. That could be fixed. And then you actually see it, and there's like a big gaping hole, right? You want to get people that you can trust, that will say, hey, yeah, they'll be honest with you. That property isn't very good. I can do video of it. It's worse than the video. You don't want to go, right? So it's just getting those trusted people to help you, to be your eyes and to be your good senses. But you can definitely buy homes that you haven't seen. And as long as the tenants stay in and it cash flows, I would say that either they're really tolerant tenants or the property's not that bad. But you definitely want to let your tenants know, hey, let me know if stuff's wrong, if things can be fixed. And then if they give you like a 10-page list, you know you probably had a property that needs a little bit more TLC, you know.
So right now, you're managing the other side of the duplex on your own, or okay? How's that going for you? How's the self-managing?
We got really lucky. The tenants are our tenants are the sweetest, best tenants. I mean, I don't have any other tenants that I have to really compare, but they always pay around the time they're going to pay. I've had to train them a little bit with letting me know when stuff's broken or not working, you know, but they've learned to do that more. They've learned to do that like right away. And I told them I appreciate that because I say, you know, if I want to make sure you're happy, right? So they're very communicative, or they communicate well. They pay consistently. They're very nice, open people. And the reason why I say I got really lucky is because, for one, when you buy a property with inherited tenants, they might be the reason the person's selling. They might be the worst tenants ever. But here, you know, our tenants, what they were saying is that they weren't really screened. They didn't get like their credit pulled or anything like that. So it could have been really bad, but it isn't. And since then, you know, I've learned a lot from them on how to get my handyman in there, how to fix things, how to notify, you know, just create that system. And it's been a really good experience, but I've learned quite a bit. And yeah, I am prepared for one day getting the worst tenant in the world where I have to have a sheriff drag him out of that place kicking and screaming. But I'm not there yet. But I'm trying to develop that skin. And it's so hard with them because they're so nice. It's like, can't develop that thick skin from you guys, but thank you.
I know. I mean, you're like one of the nicest guys I know. So I mean, it's gonna be tough. I think it's that time comes for you. But like you said, you know, it's just all a learning process. And so far in your journey, I guess, what would be probably the number one, I guess, criteria you would say an investor needs to have? Like, I mean, what would you say you look for? And a good investor needs to be good, maybe be patient or you know, yeah.
Well, I would say patience is important because you're not going to be buying a property every week unless you get into the business of buying a property every week, like wholesaling or something like that. Even then, you know, but I would say people skills. I would say learn to be a bit more outgoing, learn to connect with people, and then just discipline would be another one. You know, be consistent. You want to know your market you're getting into. So like Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. He says do the work. You know, daily discipline. 60 to 90 days minimum to look at rent. You know, like identify what you want, but that all starts with networking. You know, finding an area that where you think, oh, that's a kind of a cool area, and then just finding groups. And it's just all about learning the people skills because you'll learn so much from people, and then you'll connect with people. And the more you show that you're sincerely interested in stuff, at some point you wouldn't really have to look for deals. You know, like my real estate agent, he knows what I like. And he sent me a couple off-market things that he thought I'd be interested in. And there's one that is pending a completion of a renovation that he says won't be ready till later this year. He said that last year. But since this is January, still got a little bit to go. And it's just because I've networked with him and you know, it helps to find people in your scope that are also real estate investors that have the same mindset as you. So really when it comes down to it, it's just discipline, patience, doing the work and
networking and that, yeah.
networking.
And you don't
I know
have
that's a
that
lot, but
problem.
those are all seamless. They all go together. You know, they all go together. So you can work them all together as one movement, and that's what I would say would be the thing to do.
Yeah, and like I say, you do not have a problem networking. You say you keep telling me you do, but I mean, you are amazing in all the chats and on all the channels that we follow. I see you everywhere, talking to people. So that's awesome. I mean, it's amazing. And we have a great group of people. So I know you're big in, like we said, Michael Zuber's One Rental at a Time family, Dion Financial Talk, Millennial Mike, the Lumberjack Landlord. So not any of those people. Like, who would you say is another YouTube channel or podcast that you like to follow?
Well, besides yours, there's, I guess they're kind of adjacent to the whole one rental at a time, but Maskey Finance. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a guy that you'll get real estate advice from, but you also get stuff that makes it happen in a way where it just is this general mindset, like eating right, goals, being well read with things. He really runs a gamut of that on his channel. So you're not just getting real estate. So he has a variety of things that he talks about, and I've learned a lot from him, and I consider him a good friend of mine. And of course, Christian and Cody are another one. They're the creative finance people I look at, because I hate waiting for money to grow from saving up for the down payment. I don't like that, but in a way, I guess it kind of keeps you in check. Being patient is that big thing that I just said before.
Yeah.
Another guy is Pace Morby. His mindset will blow you away. He does sub-2 stuff, creative financing.
Yeah, his storytelling is amazing. Like when he tells his stories on how he helps. I mean, his stuff is amazing. But let me get back to Maskey Finance real quick. That guy is awesome too. We're gonna collaborate on something. I would put him a little bit higher if he wasn't a retired police officer, or if he wasn't police like Millennial Mike and Dion. There's all these police guys out here talking about financial freedom. So us firefighter guys got to come together and get more channels out there. But Maskey would be a little bit higher if we didn't have that police background. But yeah,
now come on, you guys. I know there's a few between you.
Yeah, it's all in fun.
I call you guys at the same time that I'm the kind of guy that would call you and like Millennial Mike or Mark. I call both Marks, and then you guys would fight out for how you guys can help me the best, and I'll just sit back and let my house burn down.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna be doing a live pretty soon, and that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna see how that dynamics works with two police guys on there, and we're gonna see how that works. But that's going to be a lot of fun. But that's also, like I heard you mention Rich Dad Poor Dad, Richest Man in Babylon. Is there another book that kind of changed your mindset or put you down this path?
Oh man, those are like the two big ones. I mean, Kiyosaki and that one, and I'm just trying to think of another one that I really. This is kind of cheating, but I think Grant Cardone's a 10x rule is another one. And it's cheating because I'm like partway through that book as an audiobook. Oh, but Ken McElroy books are good.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Now it's starting. Ken McElroy. I like Brandon Turner's books are good too. His real estate property management book is good. And so is his like zero and low money down, as well as his I forget, like how to buy rental property, something like that. You really can't go wrong with his books. Of course, I would be amiss if I couldn't mention, or if I didn't mention Michael Zuber's One Rental at a Time. Of course, that one I listened to quite a few times. But I definitely always just go back to Richest Man in Babylon. For some reason, I just enjoy the historical storytelling with the can't miss fundamentals of paying yourself first. Because I was always that guy that was like, spend what's left. And did I spend what's left? Yes, I did. And for the longest time, it left me with nothing. So it really helped me get myself reoriented to where, okay, put this aside, put 10% aside. If you can't afford 10%. up what comes into the 10% and cut out some needless expenses. So it's a fancy way of budgeting, I guess you can say.
Oh yeah, that's a great book. And in the background, you have a young child, right? I know that's probably a big reason why you're doing all of this, and that also kind of changed my mindset on things. So I sorry, man, I forget how old was your kid again?
He is 21, 22 months now. He's about 2 years old.
So did that, your child, is your son, did that have a big impact on why your mindset shifted to and why you started planning for, generational wealth and building your finances up?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, everything changes when you have a kid, right? It's all about them, and then you just, I guess you kind of get the scraps of things, if I'm going to be blunt like that, but in a very good way, right? So, really, what first got me started on doing the financial freedom was that I just, be let go from jobs, economic, that kind of thing. I guess you could say kind of the Dion story where, you like my whole mindset was just focused on 9 to 5, retire 65, then do what I want. And then, I started looking at real estate as like, okay, it's got to be something where if something happens with the economy and I get let go of my job, I'm not losing my only source of income. But then when I had my son Alex, it became about other people too. It's like, okay, here's another challenge. Let's see if I can make him a millionaire before he can drive. Let's see if I can make him a millionaire before he's old enough to get a job. Okay. And like, what's one of the best ways to do that? Okay, real estate, But it was really just being able to know that when I leave this world, I'll have a portfolio that's worthy of hopefully maintaining my family for generations. They say that the first generation builds it, the second keeps it, hopefully, and then the third spends it, right? But I named him Alex after Alexander the Great. So in a way, I'm kind of building him a kingdom, a little real estate empire, that I can give him when I'm.
That's awesome. That I didn't know that. That's amazing. I'm doing the same thing for my son. I really hope that he, learns this whole financial literacy stuff and realizes that there's so much opportunities out there. And, hopefully he can pass that on to, I mean, if he does have kids down the road, and he can pass that down to them and teach them and just realize and help others, get out of the rat race. And I think it sounds like that's your story too, doing accounting and being in, 9 to 5 and like you're saying, the economy and losing jobs, but that's a great story. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean,
what, oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, just one last thing I was going to say, it's, I never was taught this growing up, and I wish I had, not blaming my parents, but, if I could do one better and teach him, then there we go.
Yeah.
You go ahead. That's all I have to say on
No.
that.
So I was just gonna ask you, so like what, I know you mentioned Gary, Indiana, and so is that kind of primarily what you're working on right now, looking at Gary, Indiana to increase your portfolio, or you're still looking in North Carolina, or I know you mentioned Airbnb or short-term rentals also too. So
Yeah. Well, right now I'm really looking at, how do I say, I'm looking at ways that can bump my, I guess you can say expedite my down payment saving. And I'm kind of looking at creative finance stuff right now. So Gary, Indiana is kind of a, in my mind, it's kind of like a real estate mission kind of thing, because, part of the mastermind group I'm in, we're like, okay, look, Gary's had some really hard times since, U.S. steel left because of cheaper imports, or, it was once a vibrant town. Now it's got like, what, maybe 50, 60,000 from like 300. And, stuff's kind of starting to come back. There's businesses and things coming in there, but it's still struggling. And so our thought is like, okay, buy some rental properties and get a house, preserve it, fix it up, and make it a nice place for people to rent, because it is adjacent to one, to Seattle, or not Seattle, excuse me, to Chicago, which has tons of people. But I kind of like the story of Gary. And it also, if I buy a house and it goes belly up, I mean, an average home in Gary that I'm looking at is between $60,000 to $80,000. It's not like I'm trying to bet on something in a market that's like 800 to 1 million, right? And I know, like, Mark Matsky and others are successfully investing in Gary. So I have that. So I have that support, and I really enjoy the story. And that's why I'm interested in Gary. I don't want to make it the primary portfolio. I don't want that to be my primary portfolio. My primary portfolio would be in where I'm at, which is like, I'm looking at places like Charlotte, and where I'm at in the Triad. So the Triad is Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point. They form a triangle of cities, and there's a lot of multifamily around here, and it's a good market for people. Jobs are coming in. There's a lot of good healthcare here. There's some manufacturing coming in, that kind of thing, and it's growing, and it's just a really good market. Like, my duplex is like, it's a couple hundred under the market value, and so it'll be paying off my mortgage completely when I bump the rent up, and that's just one unit. Then we move out to another one, and then I got another one coming in, right? So play my cards right, I can make like I can probably net about 500 or something off of a home I put $40,000 down on, So not too bad for my first deal. But I want to rinse and repeat that in my primary market, excuse me. And so I'm really focusing on here. Gary's kind of a thing like that. And there is a huge market for short-term rentals. There's to the west, you have Blue Ridge Mountains, the Smokies, huge vacation spot. They're busy with activity in the summer and winter, 10 out of 12 months. There's just so much going on there. But the thing is, I decided not to focus on short-term rental right now, because I'm feeling like I kind of have the whole dog in a field full of squirrels kind of thing at some point, where I just kind of, oh, that's cool, that's cool, oh, that's cool, syndication, oh, sub two, oh, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, just focus on one thing and master it. And then you can branch out when there's less risk, because if you look at too much at the same time, you'll never, ever get anywhere.
Yeah, I totally agree. I believe Charlie Munger said something along those, focus on one thing to build your wealth, and then diversify later to keep it. But I'm not sure if you remember, but Blue Ridge Mountains, that's actually where my son's name Ridge comes from. So my son's mom is from North Carolina, Asheville area. But so yeah, build your team, and I'll probably be retiring there and joining you in North Carolina, and we can get some properties together maybe. But yeah, it's beautiful. I love the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina. But yeah, I'll probably be joining you there at some point. If you're not, I believe you mentioned too, you might be going to Japan though. So not sure if you're still going to be there by the time I get there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could definitely see myself growing older here. There's so much you could do here, and we really haven't had too much time to discover this place. And we hear all about it. We're living in it, but we'll definitely have a lot more time. One of the reasons why I want to become financially free and not worry about 9 to 5 is that any time I could be like, oh, hey, let's just go to the mountains. Hey, let's go to the beach. It's only like 2 or 3 hours away either side. Japan wise, my wife is from there. I want to live there for a while. One of my goals is to become fluent in Japanese. And my son's family, he hasn't met his grandparents yet, and they're planning on going there. They're planning on going there sometime soon. I would say, it's in the works at some point. But to live there so they can really get to know him more is a big goal. And plus, Japan's just awesome.
Oh yeah. All right. So anyone else, listening into this or wanting to start their journey or get into real estate investing, like what would be your advice to them?
Oh, just start listening to content like this. Listen to your channel, Mark. Other ones we've listed here, like Dion, One Rental at a Time, Lumberjack Landlord, Mark Matsky, Millennial Mike, Christian Cody. It seems like a lot. Just pick one that just pick one that you can feel at home with, and then listen to it and just start learning, and then start going to like Facebook groups. To get started, you just need to start talking to people. I would say let's go into like the Bigger Pockets Facebook group or some other kind of group, and then just like look at the posts or even ask, hey, I'm new to real estate, I know nothing at all. What markets are good, or what kind of real estate assets are good? Just start asking questions and talking to people, because the more you talk to people, the more you're going to learn, and then you're going to make friends, and then you're going to have people who are like your accountability buddies, and then it's just really connecting with people, going out there and connecting, and then once you know what you want to do, start studying how to be successful in that, and then start. Right. The one thing is that people get stuck too much in studying and preparing, and they prepare, they stretch for the big race, they put on their shoes, and when the gun goes off, they just walk and sit on the bench. Right. It's just, when I bought this duplex, I was scared. Part of me was like, oh crap, what happens if it doesn't work out? Like, well, what happens if it does? Okay. I'm like, if I don't do this now, it'll never happen. I was part of the Tacoma F.I.R.E group. And like, if I have to go down there one more time and say, oh yeah, I'm still looking, it was that whole accountability thing. It kind of puts pressure on you to start. But do a little research first, but you gotta start, and you gotta grow that network. You just gotta connect and buy a rental. And if the rental just like doesn't make any money, and you make a lot of big mistakes, you're avoiding the biggest mistake of all. And the biggest mistake of all is not starting. It's better to start and fail than it is to just wonder if.
That is great advice there. I mean, yeah, starting, this is the hardest part, is getting some momentum and just getting your foot in the door. And once you go from there, you kind of just learn and figure it out, and network and meet other people that are doing it. And I know, like Millennial Mike likes to say, you kind of just piggyback off of someone else's system, and kind of just learn from that. But I asked Millennial Mike this question too, and as you can see, I'm a huge superhero buff, and I love superheroes, and I have Marvel and DC behind me. So if you would have to pick, are you more of a DC comic or a Marvel fan?
Oh, definitely DC. I like DC. Seems a lot darker and more ominous in a lot of the characters,
Okay.
than Marvel. Not nothing against Marvel. I've always been attracted to Batman, especially like Scarecrow and that kind of thing.
So if you had to pick one superhero that you relate to or resembles you in a way, is it Batman, or is there another DC character that kind of sticks with you?
I'm not in that deep to really know who I would resonate with. I haven't really studied a lot of the characters, but I mean, I already mentioned Batman, and you can't go wrong with Batman. If I were to be a villain, like I don't know, Scarecrow's pretty cool. So
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Well, Dave, or should I Dividend, tell everyone how they can find you, or what platforms you're on, or where can they look for you?
well, I would say my Instagram is good. I think you could type in Dividend Dave and I come up. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is with the at. Is it David Lingbloom or Dividend Dave? But if you type one of those, I should come up.
All right, where can they? I know you're always in the chat, so I'm sure they can find you in there, communicate with you there. But like I said, that's how we met, and it's been amazing. And thanks for coming on to my channel. Thanks for taking time to do this interview. hopefully, we can partner up on some deals in North Carolina one day. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for coming on.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, Mark. I just your channel is it's great. It has a lot of useful information, and I have all the notifications on, so I don't miss one of your videos. So I really appreciate you putting information out there and being responsive when I first connected with you. That meant a lot. A lot of people, they don't have to do that, and so I really appreciate you doing that, and that's how we got here.
Wow, I was shocked somebody watched my videos. I was like, oh, I have a subscriber here. I gotta, comment back. But yeah, thanks again. But anyone else out there, like you said, please, like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. So when my new videos come out, you guys will be notified. And anyone else out there, just keep looking for those great deals out there.